All right, so welcome everyone to episode 14 of the Easy Talk podcast. Today we have a very special guest. It's one of our friends. He owns a business here in Lakeland, social business. It's called Social Reach, and he's
Yes.
going to be our guest for today. So welcome, Scott.
Hey, how's it going,
Yeah,
guys?
Good,
man.
Give us
Awesome.
a quick
Excited.
introduction of who you are and what do you do?
Yeah, so I own a company called Social Reach, and we're a social media marketing and management company. And so what we do is we really focus on partnering with companies to help them grow their audiences online, to build engaged and profitable communities. And so we basically do that in two ways. First, we sit down with a customer or a client, and we partner with them on their sales funnel, their value offerings, things like that, making sure that they're taking full potential of everything that they can offer built into what they're already doing, making sure that they have they're maximizing their sales opportunities with their customers so they can make the most amount of money on their customers that they can. And then once we have all that in place, and then we have the sales funnel, all that in place, we manage their online accounts ongoing monthly, manage their ads, everything like that. Make sure they're bringing in new customers, but also making the most that they
Right.
can on current customers.
Awesome.
Nice.
Thanks.
Nice.
Yeah.
So we were talking with Ishmael the other day, like, man, we're trying to bring into the podcast valuable people because we're always trying to, share our knowledge to the customer and help them in the buying experience.
Right.
So one of the main topics that we want to talk to, because you see everywhere people talking about how businesses benefit from social media,
Right.
but they never talk about the customer side.
Right.
So what do you think, like, nowadays with everybody being able to see everything, from a cell phone or a computer, how the customer benefits from all these companies, reaching out to the customer through social media? What do you think is the major benefit for the customer?
First, I gotta say those glasses are dope, man. I love those things; they're awesome.
Look.
I gotta get me some of those, but green. Right? So yeah, I mean, social media is super powerful. I mean, when I sit down with a potential client or my current clients, they always talk about word of mouth, because typically that's how most businesses have built their business to a certain point, and then they really have to start investing in marketing if they want to continue to accelerate growth. And that's all social media is. It's just it's word of mouth on steroids,
Yeah.
right? Because if you think about it, everyone complains about technology and how there's so much information, everything out there. But at the same time, businesses, politicians, celebrities, everything like that, I mean, we see in the news, are becoming, what's the word? They're becoming...
Influencers?
No. They have... Transparency. That's what I'm
Okay,
looking for.
okay.
Yeah, everything's
Yeah.
becoming transparent. So
Totally.
especially when it comes to businesses and especially car dealerships, it's extremely impactful, I think, because I remember, I don't know who it was that said it, but I remember at some point someone was saying that, it was a speaker. He was saying that, he goes, you remember the old like, sleazy, salesman where you'd walk in and they'd be like, "How are you doing?" And you'd be like, "Great, I just went to vacation in Colorado." And they're like, "Yeah, we went there 2 years ago, and then we skied down that same mountain.
Yeah.
And we used those same skis, and it was great."
Yeah.
Trying to build relationship, but it's all fake.
Right.
Nowadays you can't have that. Nowadays, there's transparency with everything, and so. I think it's super impactful for the consumer because the consumer can now do research. And so
Nice.
they can do research on the salespeople, the owners, the business, reviews. Social media
Yeah.
probably has the biggest impact on a business when it comes to reviews and social proof.
True.
People, when they complain, they go to social media. When they
Totally.
have a great success story, they go to social media. So from a consumer point of view, I think it's super powerful for consumers to see who they're working with, if they really do what they say they can do, and even to get feedback from other people that have used those businesses before.
Right. I guess before used to be that you really got to kind of know the business or the salesman or whenever you got there.
Yeah.
Now people can, before they even go to, in this example, dealership, they can do their investigation or whatever, and get to know them before they actually go there. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you used to be, as consumers, we used to be at the whim of whatever the salesperson told us, whatever the company told us, about their product, about their service, about their warranties, everything like that. Nowadays, consumers can take control of that, and they don't have to shop in a place that has a lot of bad track record. I do know there is a dealership here in town that there's also a Facebook group called Lakeland Business Leaders, and in that group a couple months ago, one person posted a complaint about this dealership. Didn't even post the name, but everyone else knew what it was just because of this experience. So, and there's probably 100 people or so that commented on that post. 7,000 people in that group. So probably several thousand people at least saw that post. Yeah. That's powerful.
Yeah, it's like you say, like word of mouth on steroids. It's you get the benefits when you get good reviews, but you get also the bad things if you don't do.
Because there's something you mentioned just now, which is the social proof. Because in reality, with just a computer and internet, any business can make their business look spectacular.
Right.
Like they can make it look gorgeous and like, we're this and that.
Successful.
But you have to have the social proof, you have to have the reviews from the customers, from people and the validation of your business.
Right.
So that's very important because, at some point it can be, you can make it look in a certain way to the customer, but they got to verify. They have to have the validation. The business has to have the validation from the customers in order to, like you said, social proof.
Yeah, and I think reviews are super important. Obviously, they can make or break a business, but even at the same time, just your branding, and how active you are on social media. It's funny because I have this conversation a lot with my clients, about, posting and we all know Facebook, the organic reach is super low. And so, super unimpactful there. But, what I know as a marketer, right? And what my industry knows is that the flow of customers now is they go to Google still to do their initial research. But once they find those top 3 or 4 different companies, then they always click on the social media profiles. And reviews are definitely a factor. But at the same time, they're looking at your activity. Are you guys doing podcasts?
Right.
Are you consistently posting? Are you putting value out there for people? And that alone is crazy impactful, because now what you're doing is you have the opportunity to build a relationship with that customer. And what did it cost you? Nothing.
Right.
So you're building that relationship with them, building that trust, and you're much more likely to win that customer in the long run.
Right.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, even with experiences yourself, whenever you go and you're searching for something and you try to go deeper to their Facebook or Instagram or whatever to see their reality or see more of it.
Yeah,
I do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Every single time.
Everybody does.
Yeah, for me, it's funny because now, I live on these platforms because this is what we do. But for me, it's almost backwards. I'll see ads a lot in Facebook, and I'll click on the ad, go to their Facebook page. I'll get a kind of an idea of what the company does, and then I click on their website and go to their website and get like all the information.
Right.
Because, all the information isn't necessarily there on social media that you need to make that buying decision. But you can see like, okay, is this an active company? Is this someone that I want to even give, any attention to? Because online, you have 8 seconds on average to capture someone's attention. 3, even to get them to that 8. And so if you're not capturing that person's attention within that first 3 to 8 seconds, then they're gone. You lost them. So, it's super important.
That's good, man. And at the end of the day, transparency is what really makes a business successful, in my opinion. And it really comes down, for the customer, it just give them more options. You know what I mean? Because they're not, back in the day, they'll probably were stuck with just the dealerships, that they knew by driving by, within the city.
Yeah.
Now we have customers, buying the cars 3 hours away from here, so they don't have any idea that we were here, but they found us through the internet, so it gives them more options. There's a ton of dealerships by where they live, and they probably a few other dealerships that they probably had a similar car than the one we had here. But for some reason, they drove all the way here and bought the car. So at the end of the day, it's a win-win situation for the business and for the customer.
Yep.
Because, once we're selling the car, but second, the customer, I'm pretty sure he's getting a good deal and he's getting the car that he wants, you know. So it's a win-win situation for everybody.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. The fact that especially when it comes to cars, right? I've been in that situation obviously where I've had to buy a car, and dealerships will do all kinds of crazy things, right? Yeah. We know that there's great dealerships out there, and there's bad dealerships out there. Yeah. And being able to know whether a dealership has the exact car you want with the exact features. My car that I have now, it's funny, I actually drove all the way to Jacksonville, which is like a 5-hour drive to go get it.
And you have the Toyota dealership right here.
Exactly. But the thing was that they had the car that I wanted.
Right.
With all the features I wanted, everything like that. And so I think even today for consumers, being able to go on, a website or go on a social media page and see what inventory has is super powerful for the consumer, because now it's not even about, we all know that car salespeople, what they, used to try to do is say, hey, we got this amazing car, come in, then they try to sell you on something else, And so that's not, as much of a reality anymore. I think it still can happen, but it's much less likely.
Right.
And I'll go even further. Now, thanks to Facebook, to Instagram, to all of that, you don't even have to go to a dealership, because now you can find on Facebook Marketplace and even on Instagram, you can find cars from people, from even dealers, from everyone. You can find them on social media.
Rolling out something specifically for the dealers.
Really?
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Inventory.
Yeah, I know a couple years back when I was hustling in multiple areas, one of my good friends owns a mechanic shop here, and he would buy cars, fix them up, and resell them, and I helped him resell them on Facebook, and it was awesome every time. But and then even in that process too, if someone's trying to sell cars on, like that mechanic shop was, just as a side hustle, just trying to make some money, there again that social proof comes in, because if they sell a bunch of bad cars, people are going to put them on blast, and they say, hey, don't trust these guys. So.
Right.
Yeah, it's just so simple. You have a better idea of who you're dealing with.
Exactly.
That's simple.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Exactly.
The other point that, with so much information being shared on social media and all these platforms, there's a lot of data being, collected. It's not just one place. Like, you don't get information just from your neighborhood or your area.
Right.
You get the whole region, and it's just it makes the customers feel better, because they're, at the end of the day, they're just making an educated decision, when it comes down to purchasing a car, or making sure the value is right and the price is right, because they get all these data from all these cars in the area that are similar to the one that they're looking at and all that. So, I think it's awesome, especially if a business is really, constant on social media. Obviously, it's great for the business, because they're definitely step ahead, but also for the customer that they're bringing in, because, at the end of the day, they're just making a more educated decision. Like I said, that's how I see it. So
yeah, I think at the same time, as a business, being able to collect that data, you can see what people are buying, and so for the end consumer, you can make sure that you get more inventory in. That is what consumers are looking for. So obviously, can any dealership have every car that every consumer would want? No, it's not possible, but you guys can see the trends and see, like, are people buying 4-door pickups, or are they buying coupes, or are they buying minivans? What's happening right now? What are people needing? And are they buying energy efficient cars? Are they buying what is it? So you guys can, as a business, can offer that to your consumers as well, and have the most accurate inventory for what most people are looking for.
Totally
it's true. Yeah, it becomes a loop.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
totally.
Everyone wins. That's the great thing I love about this
It's
industry,
true,
man.
man.
Everyone
It's
wins.
true,
As long as I do my job right, a marketer does their job right, everyone wins. You know?
Yeah.
About
So-
the internet in general, it's just
Yeah.
great.
It's nice. Like you can see, like honestly, it's not just the 20 years old or 30 years old using social media. No,
Yeah.
it's all these platforms. I see people, that 60-year-old looking at their pages, like, oh, we saw you guys on Facebook or
Well, yeah,
all
so
these platforms.
we
I'm
see it
like,
on
wow.
on the comments on
yeah,
our
exactly.
videos. The comments, you see
Yeah.
all types of people,
Yeah.
older, younger,
Which is awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
people are becoming more aware and, they're jumping into it because it's a benefit,
Right.
at the end of the day.
Yeah, I'm not gonna put my grandma on blast, but I'm 28. She's my grandma, and she sends me Facebook messages almost every other day of different gifts and memes and all this kind of
That's
stuff.
awesome.
So just showering me with love. So I appreciate
Yeah.
Grandma, especially if you're watching. But
Shout
you know,
out.
yeah, right. But she's on there and she's able
good.
to keep in touch, and yeah, I mean it's interesting. So yeah, everyone's on there, and if they may not be on every platform, but people are definitely using social media.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I don't think it's going away anytime soon. It's funny because Gary Vaynerchuk, someone I look up to a lot, he goes, all these people are worried because I think Facebook's 10 years old now. I think they come out in 2008. Anyways, he goes, Facebook's 8, social media is 8-10 years old. MySpace was before that, yes, but he goes, people are worried that we've hit a curve and then it's going to go away. He goes, look, if any industry, right, is only 8 to 10 years old and then it dies, he goes, it wasn't an industry,
Right.
It's just a fad, So he goes, it's not going away anytime soon. It may evolve, but it's not going away. So
Yeah.
it's definitely cool how businesses are able to adapt and keep adapting
And help customers.
benefit
help
them.
customers.
Because look, like, this can go so many ways. Because now you see a lot of, we do it here, like with the easy tips.
Right.
We're sharing content to help
Yeah.
the customer. Like this podcast is to help the customer.
Right.
Like we're creating content, and you see a lot of in all kind of industry creating content on do-it-yourself videos, how-to videos,
Yep.
and that's just gonna help the customer. The end customer at the end of the day. I mean,
Right.
they benefit in so many ways.
Well, and that's the beautiful thing about what social media has evolved to. Yeah, there's a lot of negative stuff out there, but at the end of the day, the largest companies, if you look at the way they market, is they put $10 in today to make $100 in 6 months. And what does that mean? Well, they're spending money today giving value to their customer,
Right.
Because they know if they give value to the customer is going to appreciate that, and it builds trust with the customer, and the customer is going to come back to them.
Totally.
So that's the amazing. That's why I love where the marketing industry has come to. Again, Gary Vee, he says 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you were a business that did marketing. Now you're a marketing company that sells a product. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or a service. If you're going to be successful today, you have to be marketing, and that marketing is not just sleazy, or cheesy slogans. It's not, bait and hook and switch. It's just bringing value. If you really want to make an impact and you really want to attract the right customers,
Put the
you have to give
effort.
value, which, like you guys said, giving tips and advice and all that does is it helps the customer. And here's the thing. Most customers become customers. Why? Because anyone can do anything themselves, right?
Right.
But either they lack some information or they just don't have the time or want to deal with whatever they're trying to do, right? So, for example, if I want to go shop around and buy different cars, I could do that myself, technically.
Right.
But a lot of times I'm going to come into a dealership because I want to rely on the expertise as long as there's trust to have them guide me in the best direction. So whether it's a specific car I want or I don't really know what kind of car I want, that's kind of that works. But I'm only going to rely on you, especially this day and age, if there's trust and if there's value, right? So for customers, man, I mean, to be able to peer into what a business is doing and kind of even on a high level, just see it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort, and it's very hard to put that image out consistently of value if you're not really giving value.
Really doing
and
it.
if you're really not doing what you say you're going to do. So for customers, benefit to be able to look in and see, man, these guys are always putting on podcasts. They're always bringing, telling me how I can do stuff on my own to save a couple bucks. Man, that makes a really big impact on the consumer. And so they can look in and say, man, I really trust these guys, and I want to use this company for their service or products.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome.
Good tips there.
Good stuff.
So I think that's it for today. I mean, anything else you want to add to this? Got anything that you have going on that you want to broadcast out there?
No, I think I did that enough in the beginning. I mean, I think the only other thing I would add is just for consumers that I think there's a lot of other things that come into play, a lot of other aspects with buying a car, which is like warranties and performance parts and things like that. And so there's a lot of ways that consumers can do a lot of research on that as well. That would be some good, I think, if you guys aren't doing it, some good content tips for you guys. I think you have a little bit on the buying process and stuff. So keep doing what you're doing. But there's definitely a lot of different aspects where it can be of value. I just want to tell my listeners, man, these guys over here, Easy Auto, you guys know I only work with good companies. So if you need a car, if you need a great deal, make sure you come check these guys out. They're not sleazy. They're not cheesy.
We're pretty chill back, man.
No, these are great guys. Come see Herman or Ismael. And,
Thank you,
been
man.
fun.
We appreciate you.
Appreciate that.
Thanks for coming, man.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, bro.
Thank you. Peace.